Welcome back to the True Detectives podcast, where we uncover those crazy real-life stories you know about detectives and strange investigations and mysteries you just can't make up. I'm Adrian Smith, and I'm joined as always by the insightful Dr. Julia Jones.
Great to be back, Adrian. Ready to tackle another intriguing case?
Absolutely. Today we've got a story that blurs the lines between acting and reality. We're diving into a case involving a once famous actor known for playing a sharp TV detective
Oh,
who finds himself living out a real-life thriller.
a case of life imitating art. That sounds fascinating.
He really is. This actor is attempting a comeback with a live theater performance. But he's haunted by his past fame and a persistent stalker who seems to be taking cues from his old scripts. Imagine trying to step back into the spotlight after years of battling those shadows, only to find a threat emerging from them.
That raises some interesting questions about the psychological impact of playing a role, especially one so closely tied to danger and suspense. Could his past role be influencing his perception of this threat?
That's exactly what we're going to investigate today. So, let's set the scene. Our actor, who we'll just call the actor, since the source material protects his identity, is preparing for this intimate theater performance. He's been out of the limelight for a while, dealing with the aftermath of his TV success and this stalker who has been relentlessly hounding him.
When you say hounding, what kind of behavior are we talking about? Is this casual fan obsession or something more disturbing?
It's definitely more disturbing. Before his performance, the actor finds a chilling note slipped under his dressing room door. It's written in a hurried, almost frantic script, and it reads, "Waiting for you tonight, my darling Blake. Our story isn't over yet."
My darling Blake. That's significant, Adrian. The stalker is referring to him by his character's name, not his real name. That indicates a level of obsession that goes beyond typical fandom. It suggests a delusion, a blurring of boundaries, where the stalker sees the actor as an extension of the fictional character he portrayed.
And to make matters worse, the actor recognizes the handwriting. It belongs to a stalker who has been a problem for years. The source material even suggests that the stalker was a factor in the studio, labeling him difficult and unreliable, ultimately contributing to his career decline.
That's really unfortunate. It sounds like he was caught in a vicious cycle, with the stalking potentially fueling his professional struggles.
Exactly. His past success as a TV detective seems to have become this double-edged sword, bringing him fame, but also attracting this dangerous obsession that's now jeopardizing his comeback attempt. So, picture him backstage, trying to focus on his performance, but constantly looking over his shoulder, wondering if the stalker is lurking in the shadows.
That kind of psychological pressure can be debilitating. To try and deliver a performance with that weight hanging over you,
Right.
with the constant fear of the unknown, would be incredibly challenging.
You can imagine the anxiety. He even describes this feeling of panic, constricting his throat as he waits for his cue. But the show must go on. Right. He takes a deep breath, steps onto the stage, the curtain rises, the spotlight hits him, and he starts reciting his lines. But here's where things take a really eerie turn.
I'm all ears, Adrian. Tell me what happens.
As he's going through his lines, trying to stay in character, he spots a figure in the front row. A woman wearing a wide-brimmed hat, her face obscured by the shadows.
A stalker.
Exactly. The actor instantly recognizes her, and his heart starts pounding. But he's trapped in the middle of the performance. He can't just stop the show and shout, "Hey everyone, my stalker's in the audience."
That must have been terrifying, to be so close to the source of his fear, yet unable to directly address it because of the constraints of his role.
It makes you wonder, was he drawing on his past experiences as a TV detective to maintain his composure? Was he using those ingrained skills to stay calm under pressure? Or was the line between fiction and reality starting to blur for him?
That's a fascinating question, Adrian. The interplay between his past role and this very real danger is a crucial aspect of this investigation. It speaks to the potential for our experiences, even fictional ones, to shape our responses in real-life situations.
Speaking of real-life danger, things are about to escalate. The play reaches its climax, which involves a staged shootout.
Wait, you mean?
You have prop guns, blanks, the whole theatrical shebang. But even though he knows it's all pretend, the actor's instincts are on high alert. He's been living with this stalker's threats for years, so his senses are hyper-attuned to any sign of danger.
Yeah. Even though it was a performance, the simulated violence triggered a very real sense of threat for him, given the context of the stalker's presence.
Exactly, and right on cue.
Yeah.
As the first shot rings out, chaos erupts.
What happened? Did the stalker do something?
She did. The woman in the hat bolts for the exit, knocking over a chair in her haste. And then a second gunshot rings out.
Hold on. A second gunshot? But you said the shootout was staged with blanks.
That's right. This second shot wasn't part of the play.
Oh my. So someone fired a real gun in the theater. This just got very real very quickly.
You got it. Pandemonium breaks loose. People are screaming. The lights go out, plunging the theater into darkness. And in the midst of all this chaos, the actor catches a whiff of his stalker's perfume. A heavy, cloying scent. And he knows she's close.
What did he do? Did he confront her in the dark?
He did. Remember those years playing a detective? Those instincts kick in. He lunges towards the scent, his fist connecting with flesh. There's a struggle, a sharp cry, and then the sound of a door slamming shut.
So he fought back, relying on instinct, and perhaps even drawing on those skills he honed playing a fictional detective. It's amazing how our past experiences can influence our actions in such visceral ways.
It really is. But here's the thing.
What is it, Adrian? Don't leave me in suspense.
When the lights come back on and the police arrive, the stalker is gone, vanished without a trace.
Gone. But you said there was a struggle? A cry?
There was, but no body. Just a blood trail leading outside, a discarded hat in the alley, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
This is incredible, Adrian. It's like a real-life mystery unfolding on stage. A vanishing act worthy of a seasoned criminal. Who was this stalker? What were her true intentions? And how did she manage to disappear so quickly?
Those are the very questions we're going to unpack right after this. Stay with us, folks. This investigation is just getting started.
So, Adrian, we left off with a vanishing stalker, a blood trail, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. What happened next?
Well, as you might imagine, the police were called in to investigate. They meticulously followed that blood trail we mentioned, but it simply led out of the theater and disappeared into the labyrinthine alleyways behind the building. The discarded hat was their only tangible clue, but unfortunately it yielded nothing. No fingerprints, no identifiable markings, nothing that could lead them to the stalker. It was like she'd simply evaporated into thin air.
A real disappearing act. This level of preparedness makes me wonder if she had planned for a quick escape, anticipating the possibility that things could go wrong. It adds another layer to her psychological profile. Could this indicate a history of evading consequences or a meticulous nature that borders on the obsessive?
Those are excellent points, Dr. Jones. And this whole incident, as you can imagine, became a media sensation. A once famous TV detective, a stalker with a penchant for dramatic timing, a staged shootout turned real, and then a mysterious disappearance. It was a story that practically wrote itself.
Oh, I can only imagine the frenzy. It must have been incredibly difficult for the actor, especially considering he was trying to stage a comeback. Did all this attention derail his efforts?
Absolutely. His performance, the play itself, it all became secondary to the sensational story of the stalker. All anyone wanted to talk about was the gunshot, the chase, the mystery. The media spotlight he'd hoped to reclaim was now focused on him for all the wrong reasons.
It's a shame, really. It sounds like he was trying to rebuild his career, reclaim his narrative, and this incident just threw him back into a whirlwind of speculation and sensationalism.
You hit the nail on the head. It's as if he was haunted by his past, both by the stalker and the lingering specter of his fame. He was trying to move forward, redefine himself, and then this happens, pulling him back into the very shadows he was trying to escape.
It makes you wonder what the stalker's true intentions were. Was this about sabotaging his comeback? Was it an attempt to publicly humiliate him? Or was there something more personal, more sinister driving her actions?
Those are the questions that plagued the investigators as well. They explored a range of possibilities. Was she trying to intimidate him? Was she obsessed with his TV persona, blurring the lines between fiction and reality? Or was she driven by a desire for revenge for some perceived wrong, something that might have happened in the past?
And did the investigation ever uncover any answers? Did they manage to identify the stalker or determine her motives?
Unfortunately, no. The source material leaves us with an unsolved mystery. The stalker's identity, her motivations, all of it remains shrouded in secrecy, just like her sudden disappearance from that theater.
So we're left with a case file full of unanswered questions. What was the meaning of that second gunshot? Who fired it? Was it the stalker herself, or was someone else involved, adding yet another layer of complexity to this already tangled web?
You've identified the real cliffhanger here. We simply don't know if that gunshot was intended as a warning, a distraction, or something more ominous. And without knowing who fired it, it's impossible to speculate about their intentions. It could have been a reckless act fueled by panic, a deliberate attempt to escalate the situation, or something else entirely.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This situation, while terrifying for the actor, offers a glimpse into the human psyche under duress. Here he was thrust from playing a detective on screen into a real-life mystery, facing a threat that blurred the boundaries between his fictional world and his own reality. I'm curious, how did he cope with all of this?
Well, the source material indicates that he didn't let this incident break him. In fact, it seems to have had the opposite effect. It's as if confronting a real danger, one that transcended the scripts and the staged performances, ignited a new sense of strength within him.
A kind of resilience, perhaps? Or a newfound sense of agency?
Precisely. He emerged from that theater not as the washed-up TV detective everyone had perceived him to be, but as someone more determined, more self-assured. He recognized that he couldn't control the media frenzy, but he could control his response to it.
That's a profound realization. It highlights the power of the human spirit to find strength and a sense of self amidst chaos and adversity. He essentially took back control of his narrative, even if he couldn't control the story being told about him.
Exactly. And in a way, the stalker's attempt to derail his comeback, to keep him trapped in the past, may have inadvertently given him the tools he needed to break free from it.
It's a fascinating paradox. By trying to control his story, she might have unknowingly given him the agency he needed to rewrite it.
That's such an interesting way to put it, Dr. Jones. It's as if in her attempt to cast him in a specific role, she unwittingly gave him the power to redefine it.
And that's the beauty of these real-life detective stories, isn't it? They're messy, unpredictable, and rarely offer neat resolutions. They leave us with more questions than answers, challenging us to explore the complexities of human behavior and the unexpected turns that life can take.
You're right, Dr. Jones. They remind us that life isn't a neatly scripted drama. It's a series of unscripted events that force us to adapt, evolve, and often discover strengths we didn't know we possessed.
So as we wrap up our investigation into this unusual case, what are your final thoughts, Adrian?
Well, it's certainly a case that sticks with you. We have an actor famous for playing a detective who becomes the target of a stalker, seemingly fixated on his on-screen persona. Then, during his attempted comeback, this real-life mystery unfolds, complete with a gunshot and a vanishing act. It's almost like something out of a Hollywood thriller.
It is, isn't it? And the fact that the stalker's identity and motives remain a mystery just adds to the intrigue. It's almost as if she deliberately wanted to create this air of mystery around herself to become this enigmatic figure haunting his life from the shadows.
That's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a common trait amongst stalkers, this desire to remain unknown, to exert control from a distance?
It's certainly a possibility in this case, Adrian. The act of stalking itself is often about power and control, about inserting oneself into someone else's life without their consent. And by remaining anonymous, the stalker maintains a sense of power, keeping the victim in a constant state of uncertainty and fear.
And in this case, her actions had a ripple effect, impacting not just the actor's personal life, but also his professional life and his public image.
Absolutely. The media frenzy surrounding the incident undoubtedly added to his stress and anxiety, potentially even triggering memories of his past struggles with fame and the pressure of living up to his on-screen persona. It's a stark reminder that even those in the public eye who seemingly have it all can be vulnerable to such intrusive and damaging behavior.
It's a good reminder for all of us, really. We often see celebrities as these larger-than-life figures. But they're still human beings with real emotions, and those emotions can be manipulated and exploited.
Exactly, Adrian. It's crucial to remember that everyone, regardless of their status or profession, deserves to feel safe and secure. And while we may never know the full story behind this case, it serves as a stark reminder about the potential dark side of fame and the importance of addressing stalking and harassment before they escalate.
Well said, Dr. Jones. This case might remain cold, but the questions it raises about identity perception and the blurred lines between fiction and reality will likely stay with us. And who knows, maybe one day the truth about that vanishing stalker will come to light.
Until then, Adrian, it remains a captivating puzzle, reminding us that sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones that leave us with lingering questions and a desire to delve deeper into the human experience.
And that, my friends, is what we do here on the True Detectives podcast. We explore the strange, the unusual, the unexplained, those real-life mysteries that challenge our perceptions and make us question what we think we know.
So if you enjoyed this investigation with us today, be sure to rate and follow the show for more captivating True Detective stories. And if you have any thoughts or theories about this case, we'd love to hear from you. Head over to our social media pages and join the conversation.
We always appreciate hearing from you. Thanks for joining us on the True Detectives podcast. We'll be back soon with another case that's guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and keep those lights on.